Hello everyone, it's Rachel here at Clardy Hands Crafts. Today I'm working on a large journal card which is designed to fit in a large pocket page like this one. It will feature a 3-inch notepad on the front and 2 pockets to hold your photos and tags and ephemera, things like that. I was inspired by something I saw on a flip through over on Kelly Snow's channel, so I'll link her channel below and you can take a look, although I'm not entirely sure which video it was. I did have a bit of a binge watching session over on her channel, so it was definitely a flip through though that I saw it on. I have cut a front and back for the journal card because I'm going to have a large pocket sandwiched in between the 2 layers. They've been cut to the same size. And then I rounded the corners while I held them together. And this is going to be a fairly bulky piece, so it needs all the help it can get to slide into the pocket page easily. I used a design piece for the front, and that is the piece that is going to have the notepad on. And then I used something plainer for the back because I knew that I wanted to decorate a bit more elaborately on the back piece. I inked each of the pieces as I went along, and then I glued the front card to the back piece, applying it to the bottom and the side edges, leaving a gap at the top for loading in and out. This was a relaxing project to do while I watched a UK show called Interior Design Masters. Watching people create something completely unrelated to junk journals can still be quite inspiring. It gave me lots of ideas of colour schemes and different themes that you could do. So here I am cutting a pocket. So I just used a scrap of card in a coordinating colour and cut that down to the right width to match the card. And then I rounded those bottom corners to make sure that they would line up properly. So I added this to the plain side and then cut a little thumb notch out of the top just to make it obvious that there was a pocket there. Does anyone else watch that show, Interior Design Masters? Let me know if you do. I really like it. I watched the first series which had somebody else presenting and I can't think who it was off the top of my head, but now that Alan Carr's taken over I find him really amusing, and I think that the people who are taking part, the people in the competition, really seem to like him as well. They always have a laugh whenever he walks in the room. It must be annoying though to have somebody walk in halfway through a project and then start asking questions and making you worry about whether you're doing the right thing with it. I remember who the other presenter was now. It was Fern Cotton. You might not know who she is if you're not in the UK, but she's a general presenter and she was a radio DJ for a while. I don't really know what she does now, but she was fine, but I just really like Alan Carr. I made this snippet strip a while ago, so I was just playing around with the placement. I knew that I'd wanted to use this, and that's why I chose a plainer design for this side, so that the snippet strip would stand out. So I just decided on which part of the snippet strip that I wanted to include, and then just held it down and snipped it with the scissors to the right length. And then that could be glued straight on, and then there we have an instant decoration which looks really cool, I think. I did originally do a video for this snippet strip, but I just thought that I would be teaching my granny to suck eggs, so I decided not to post it. I don't think I even edited the video because it just seemed a bit pointless. But if you do need to know how to make one, then let me know and I can do it again for you. So next I decided to create the little notepad that's going on the front. So we need some 3-inch squares of any scraps that we've got lying around. So I used some of that same paper that I'd used for the pocket, and I thought that that could be like the front and back cover of the little notepad. And then I used some tea stained paper, cut that down to the same size, tried to use some of the more interesting bits with ripples and things like that, just to make it a bit more textured. And then I also used some vintage paper and I laugh because vintage, this was mine when I was a kid, so I am officially vintage, I think. So I'm cutting that down as well. And then when you've done that, you can pile them all on top of each other to make sure that they line up. Decide on which one that you want on the front, because that's going to be the most important and the most decorative. So you can see there that it coordinates with the back now from using that same paper. And then I've rounded the bottom corners but not the top. And that just allows whoever's using it to know that there's something happening down there, so that they don't miss the fact that there's a little notepad there. So you would put your thumb, I think, if you see those rounded edges and think, what is down there? And then you'd be able to lift it up and know that there was a notepad. I feel like I've over-explained that, but that's what I did it for. And then I stapled the top edge that hadn't been rounded with 2 staples side by side. And then I fished out a piece of lace that was in my stash and then folded it over the front and the back. I figured out afterwards that you didn't really need to do it over the back to cover the backs of the staples, because I glued the entire back page down in the end. So while I'm fiddling on with that, I just wanted to take the opportunity to say thank you to all of the new subscribers that have joined me recently. You're really helping me to build my channel up, and all of the people that have been here from the start as well. Thank you so much for all of your comments and everything. It just all really helps to build things up and get it to where I want it to be in my business. And if you're not already subscribed, then please do, because I post lots of videos about little projects that we can do to improve our junk journals and make them more interactive. So next I stuck down the notepad, and then I regretted doing this pretty much instantly because I realised that I wanted some more details in the back. But thankfully I could just slip things underneath that back page and create a bit of layering for the notepad so that it didn't look so stranded in the middle of nowhere. So I was just playing around with some scraps to see what could be done, and then I decided eventually that I wanted to use this piece of calico fabric and just kind of rough up the edges by tearing it, and then I wanted that layered over this wooden effect piece of paper. So I cut that down to size, just trimmed it with some scissors, and then I stitched down the calico fabric onto the top of it. I just used a simple zigzag stitch, but I think that extra little bit of detail just adds to the whole effect of the piece. And then I glued that all the way down, but you could have made it into a belly band instead if you'd have wanted to add an even more interactive piece. You could have hung the little notepad over the top of the belly band. But I called that finished, just as it was, and popped in some tags and made this extra little tag just using a cluster that was in my stash and layered that over a piece of doily. Can I just say how annoying it is to glue these doilies? So these are the ones that you get in the cheapy shops, and they're sort of designed for parties and things like that. But they're so thin, it's really difficult to glue them down. But they are cheap and cheerful, and they always look quite nice once they're stuck. So I made that as a background and then stuck the cluster on top. And as you can see, I'd already glued it and then realised that I wanted something behind. So I ended up doing it in a mixed up order like I always do. Those little scraps of calico fabric come in useful for all kinds of things, especially layering and adding pulls to your tags. So I always save them, no matter how small, and then they can just easily be threaded through your tag holes like this. And then they're nice and fluffy and interesting, rather than just using smooth ribbon or cotton all the time. That other oval tag I already had in my stash. It was in the box of stuff that I have collected for this blue journal. And then I had this scrap as well, which I decided to make a square journal card to fill out that large main pocket. So I just rounded the edges of the scrap and then inked them. And then that just adds a little bit of colour peeking out of the top so that it ties together the blue theme from this side as well as the other side. So we've got 2 tags in there. You could have used the snippet strip as a pocket as well, but I didn't want to go overkill with that, so I just stuck it all the way down. And then when you flip it over, you've got your little notepad on the back, so you can add journaling and things inside, or rip pieces out if you just need a little scrap of paper to write a note or something like that on. And then it should fit inside the pocket page with a little bit of coaxing. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next time for another video. Bye!